Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Hello and welcome to the Practice Podcast.
I think this should be the last time you do that.
Come on,
that's terrible.
Why not?
Because it's all right.
Because they already heard that.
They already know that it's the
intro.
Practice Podcast. They know it's the Practice Podcast.
You know, that's that intro. So I listened to it on fast speed, so it sounds faster and cooler. We should record it that way. Hi, Brett.
Hi, Jeff. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling scattered.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm
running around, being pulled in a million different directions.
From one thing to the next.
That's right. That's what being an owner of a law firm is all about.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. That's what I heard. That's what I'm told.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll figure it out someday.
All right, pivot.
16 years in.
Right.
So, Brett.
Yep.
What's your ideal way to spend a weekend?
Ideal way to spend a weekend for me, this could be anywhere, but I mean, there are certain places I want to be more than others, but I'll just say generally speaking. I usually wake up early on a Saturday, go for a nice long run. I will come back.
Wait, what's long run? A nice long run?
This time of year, the longest I'll do is 10.
So now we're getting into the cooler weather.
No.
September.
We're not getting into cooler weather. It's nice September, out. Like November will be cooler weather.
Okay.
No, I'd go for a longer run when the temperature's better. But anyway, I'd like to do a long run. I come back, usually do some recovery stuff. I will eat about that time. The rest of the family is usually getting up.
Or do you make breakfast for the family? Or
no, they'll do their own. I mean, if they wanted me to, I have done that before, but I wouldn't presuppose that they'd want to eat my cooking. I'll probably take the dogs for a walk as well, get them out, spend some time with the family if I have anything to do, and then have a nice dinner either with just my wife out, or maybe my daughter will join us, or maybe we'll go with some friends. And then Sunday, another good workout in the morning.
So you're staying home. Like your weekend is...
I am a homebody. I don't mind being at home. I love being at home, spending time with the family, with the dogs, and doing my thing. Yeah, I don't mind.
Cool.
How about you, Jeff? What's your ideal?
I'm the same way. I love a home weekend. Yeah. I love when we don't have a lot of plans.
I don't mind if we have,
maybe we have a dinner Saturday night, and then we're kind of flexible and free. Jolly and I like to go to the movies often. Oh, yeah. We came downtown.
You and like three other people are going to the movies these days. Yeah.
And of course, Sunday swim.
What movie did you see?
We saw Caught Stealing.
Oh, yeah.
Which was excellent.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. I
thought for the movie.
Great movie. Yeah, go check it out.
So a lot of swimming.
Updated version of True Romance. I don't know if you remember that movie, but I thought it was really cool.
All right.
Great action.
And
then it's Sunday swim, but Saturday we relax, hang, walk, take the dog on a long walk. I like to do work around the yard outside. And,
both of us are homebodies, which I appreciate. Exercise, getting outdoors, spending time with the family. Yeah. That's a good weekend for me.
We'll find out what our guest likes too. But why don't we start by introducing her? What do you think?
I'm all in.
All right. Our guest today is Kristen Goss. Kristen is the founder and owner of KWG Family Legal and Mediation Services, which was established in June of 2016 with a mission to help families navigate divorce with civility, building a legacy for those they love most. She is known for her compassionate yet results-driven approach. She's become a trusted voice in guiding families through challenging transitions. And beyond her legal work, she's also an author and the host of Civility Wins, the Family Law Edition podcast, which is second only to the Practice podcast.
1A, 1B.
But exactly. We're probably tied in the rankings.
Yeah, for sure.
But on that podcast, she offers hope, education, and empowerment within the family law arena. Her passion for service extends into the community. She has a nonprofit called Kids Demonstrating Worth, Inc., which we want to hear about today, which she founded in 2003 to inspire and uplift youth. And she's also a wife and a mother to 3 daughters. I don't know how she does all this, but welcome, Kristen. We're going to hear about that.
Yeah, welcome, Kristen.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you. Looking forward to the conversation.
You want to share with us your ideal weekend? I mean, you have 3 young kids, so.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I'm right there with both of you. I am a homebody. Whenever I can stay home and do nothing, for sure. Sleep in, which nowadays sleeping in, I guess, is 7 a.m.
Right.
Someone is getting up and is hungry, though. But yeah, watching a good Netflix film or just sleeping, relaxing, doing nothing.
Nice.
Absolutely nothing.
Speaking of watching Netflix, just as an aside, one of my favorite things to do in the afternoon, if there's no sports on, I'll flip to football.
Football on the weekends.
Now it's football season.
Football season.
But if there's no football on, then I usually will flip to like TNT, TBS, some channel that's going to have an old movie on.
Oh, nice.
And I don't care if it's the beginning, the middle, the end. I will stick with it because it's a movie I've seen before, and I just watch it. Right? Like, do you guys do that?
Nice.
Yeah.
I never really do that.
No?
I mean, we'll sit down to watch a show first, but we spend half of the time debating what show we're going to watch, and then the other half watching. But
I mean, I've seen Anchorman. We were just talking about Ron Burgundy. I've probably seen that movie 100 times, but only a couple times all the way through, and then I've seen it, in different parts as I sit down on the couch on a Saturday afternoon, maybe.
Well, it's good to know that we're all homebodies.
Homebodies.
I think as working lawyers, we learn to appreciate the time with our family and loved ones. So, Kristen, tell us, you are a family law lawyer and a mediator. Do you merge those two, or do you consider yourself a family law mediator? Tell us about your practice.
Yes, thank you for asking. I would say collaborative attorney, and no, it's not an adjective, even though it can be an adjective, but full circle. I went to the University of Miami and I majored in conflict resolution. I was always just interested in helping people navigate through challenging times. My mom was a social worker and my dad was a pastor, and I shouldn't say always, but from a very early age developed a love for families and wanting to help families in every way possible. But I can't get the law out of my brain. I love policies. I love procedures. I love structure, thanks to my mom, who is a veteran. And so family law is what made sense and very logical. I think a lot of lawyers, this may sound ironic to the outsiders looking in, but say lawyers are pretty much logical for the most part. That's why people gravitate to us to help them resolve whatever problems in whatever arena. But for me, it's family law. And if I didn't go to law school, it would have been graduate school and become a psychologist and a family therapist. So I feel, to answer your question, that I'm an advocate for families, and it involves merging both the legal and the psychological aspects to it. And family law, to me, is a human aspect of the law. And so it makes perfect sense and merges the two of my passions together.
Well, thanks to your mom for her service to our country, number one. Number two, it seems to me like the practice of family law lends itself more than any other practice area for the need to have the two skills that you have, which is obviously the ability to practice law, but also conflict resolution. Can you give us a little insight into that and why those two are so important in that field?
Yeah. Oof. That's a complex question. No one's ever asked me that, actually. So what I'd have to say, though, is you have a lot of facts. Family law is a lot of it's factually driven in a lot of senses. But as you've heard, oftentimes, I know it's 90% emotions.
Right.
And conflict resolution has a lot to do with emotions, whether they're positive or negative, because there could be conflict that is positive. And I would say my background in conflict resolution merges the two because it deals with communication, which ironically, family law, a lot of times, unfortunately, marriages break down because of the lack of communication. And so utilizing those skills that I learned in conflict resolution, that foundation is communication, a lot of it being nonverbal and kind of reading between the lines. When someone says, I want the orange, this is a perfect example that I oftentimes like to use as an example is I want the orange. Someone may want the orange to drink orange juice. The other person may want the orange to make oranges or make something else. So a lot of times in family law, you're having to put puzzle pieces together, and the conflict resolution skills that I have allows me to be able to see and read between the lines. So if someone says I'm angry or I don't want the kids to go to dad's, why? There's a lot to unpack behind that. And I think conflict resolution skills allows you to kind of ask more why questions and get to the interests of a person's quote unquote position.
That's good. And it makes perfect sense to me. And I'm impressed that was a major. That was your major in college, conflict resolution.
I just like the classes.
I love
to be
it.
honest with you.
That's cool.
Right.
Did you know you wanted to go to law school? I think you said you had an inkling. So are you somebody who law was always in your path, or tell us?
Yeah. So my first that I said I wanted to do was be a teacher. I think that was just because first exposure to, other than your parents, you go to school, you see a teacher. And honestly, I think what I do now is a lot of education too, to the public of how to navigate a very emotional time in a different way. Going back to the whole collaborative and being collaboratively trained. But yes, I did know at a very early age that I wanted to go to law school. But honestly, political science is boring. History's been boring for me. There's certain aspects, I guess, that are fascinating. But for the most part, I just liked the whole communication and public speaking and the psychological aspect behind conflict resolution. I always was that curious kid that analyzed everything, probably way too much, and still to this day. And like, why did that person do what they did? Or why do they think that way? And so I think it's just the curiosity that really drew me to conflict resolution and the classes that I took.
To me, I think, maybe more lawyers need to take that and some coursework in college. But I think in the family arena, more to my first question and your answer, it seems to me that conflict resolution, the need to understand the dynamics is more important there. And that obviously helpful for you. And to have the skills of a mediator in family law, more than necessarily any other practice area might be useful. So when did you realize that you wanted to, I know you said you had this sort of thought, the psychological piece and the conflict resolution early in your life, which led you to go major in that. But when did you realize that you wanted to then take that and apply it to family law?
I think our personal stories kind of shape us and guide us into what we end up doing. And I would say having the experience and unfortunately losing my mom, being the caregiver for my dad who had dementia at the time. And then when he passed away in 2014, having to navigate 2 years of probate litigation, having gone through guardianship with him prior, coming from a blended family scenario, I was my mom's only child. I think the experiences that I shared with my siblings, it gives me a deeper understanding and appreciation for conflicts from the family law side, especially where you may be having a relationship with someone and then having to go away and navigate or try to think and come up with, how do I do that? Very emotional.
Yeah.
Rationality is out the door. And so I think having the experiences, that's just part of it, but having certain experiences in life really kind of guides you and helps you to have a deeper understanding to be able to help and be that guide for people who are going through a tough time. Because they say in family law, you see the best people on their worst days. And I think that's so true. And so if I can be a support system for someone who's going through a tough time and doesn't see their way out, having experienced that from a different perspective, I think it really gives me and brings me joy, and I'm passionate about it, especially when children are involved. I love children. You mentioned earlier, I have 3 of my own and hug them every day, even though all of my oldest especially may not love it. She's 13. Just love bringing joy and peace and light to people, because having gone through so much and having gone through a time where you're losing loved ones and having to navigate the grief process, having to navigate the court system, it's just not easy.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, and there's always exceptions, but it's sad. I mean, here's a family that's essentially breaking apart. And I mean, you know this better than I do, that's for sure. But oftentimes they probably should have broken up or separated way earlier, and they stayed together too long, and the blood boils and the animus grows, and then it becomes super contentious. And it's like, not only is this beautiful thing, the family breaking apart, but there's so much anger and hostility and hatred, and it's so emotional. And so, I'm glad there's someone like you in the mix there. Yeah, not always, but.
Yeah, I would think you'd bring such calm and, clarity to people. And so I appreciate that. Your clients, and even honestly, those on the other side, may appreciate that. Is there anything in the family law arena with CLEs or any study that dives into the psychology, dives into conflict resolution? I would think that would be very needed and very helpful to that particular area of practice.
So that's a great question. I would say we oftentimes have the annual nuts and bolts or cert review. Collaborative, I am collaboratively trained. I got collaboratively trained January of 2020, and it changed trajectory of how I viewed family law. I wouldn't say within necessarily the family law arena, but I would say there are things outside, a lot of collaborations with therapists dealing with narcissistic personality. Everybody wants to say that, right? He's a narcissist or she's a narcissist. What does that really mean? Even dealing with attachment styles. There are CLEs that we kind of merge with the law and the psychological aspect of things. Domestic violence, unfortunately, comes up a lot of times. And so how to navigate trauma and understanding that we're complex beings, right? And sometimes people have a bad day and they make a mistake, and domestic violence is part of it. But oftentimes there are a lot of things to unpack, and domestic violence is what someone was taught growing up. And so I see a lot of CLEs on that: domestic violence, trauma, narcissistic behavior, personality disorders, things like that.
You mentioned a minute ago, sorry, just jump in. You mentioned a minute ago about you were trained collaboratively. What does that mean, and where did you do that?
Good question. I joined the National Association of Divorce Professionals, say like 2018. And a lot of the professionals there were collaboratively trained, and they started talking about this process. And I was like, sounds interesting. What is this all about? And obtained information on how to get trained. At the time, there were the Tampa Bay trainers. They still have their trainings every so often. They were coming to do a training at Nova Southeastern. And so right before the pandemic, actually, there was a 2-day introductory training, and it basically merges everything that I kind of have been educated about the conflict resolution side with the legal side of things. And so it's a very niche area of practice of the law in family law, and we represent spouses. I would represent one spouse who's going through a divorce. Another attorney would represent the other spouse. We would all enter into a participation agreement in writing. It outlines everybody's going to be transparent, open, and honest. And it's not a situation, I get this question oftentimes, I can't be in a collaborative process, from a client, for example, because I can't stand my spouse or soon-to-be ex-spouse. And it has nothing to do with that.
Well, that's why you're getting a divorce. Yes, we know that.
Yes,
right.
It has everything to do with taking power back, bringing peace of mind to yourself, loving yourself enough, and having a team that works with you to focus on how to resolve, and opposed to being positional and fueling the fire. And I oftentimes know that when children are involved, it's something that the clients, they want a better way of having to separate and not allow the divorce to take on a negative impact. Oftentimes, I'm sure you've heard this before, people say, we can't get divorced for the kids. They want to stay together for the kids. And that's one of the worst things you can do. If it's just not working for whatever reason, do your kids a favor. I hate to be the proponent of it, but do you want to stay in a toxic situation and really mess your kids up, because that's what happens? Or do you want to do your kids a favor, do yourself a favor, and move towards a better resolution?
I do think that's the general, though, approach a lot of people take is, we need to stay together for the kids. And then the kids grow up in a loveless household where, the people are badgering each other, and that's what they learn and see. And so I think a lot of people don't appreciate how much their kids see and absorb everything, like everything you're doing. Especially, I always say it to friends, driving. When you're driving and you're on your phone, your kids see that. You are teaching them to do that. So they see everything. But it seems to me that the key, or one of the keys, is just empathy, that you were talking about, is understanding what the other side is experiencing or wanting, or why they're saying what they're saying, throughout this process. But I think divorce has some close parallels to bankruptcy, to what we do. And they both involve the division of an estate or assets or whatever it is. And I think to some degree, other than the kid piece, we don't have a lot of kids in bankruptcy, they both employ equity more so than in other practice areas. We don't see equity in a lot of parts of our society these days, but here is like, this is the fair way to do this. Like, other than, in the schoolyard, people do things based on fairness. After that, it's like, eat what you kill, or, where I got here first. So I don't know. Love to hear your thoughts on that. Equity and empathy.
I think that's great. Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right, there you go. Conversation killer.
So I know. Well said. So I stopped doing it, but for years, because I'm a litigator, naturally, if I started questioning my wife, she would say, stop cross-examining me. Right. So are there things that you find yourself doing, right, with your own family that because of the nature of the practice, right, that you catch yourself like, wait, I got to stop doing that, or you get called on it occasionally, right?
She's laughing.
She's laughing.
So true.
Has to be.
So it's funny that you say that. My husband's a plumber, and he says that all the time about me, that he feels that he's on trial, even though I try to stay away from trials as much as possible. Uh-huh. But I do think as a lawyer, you have a certain way of thinking. And, again, going back to the overanalyzing, right? Or I've even tried to say, oh, your attachment style. What is his attachment style that I said the other day? Disengaging, but there's another word for it that he shies away from basically communicating.
Disassociate. No, sorry, just throwing out terms. Throwing out terms that I probably learned in my psych class when I was a freshman in college, which learn is a loose term.
Heard.
Yes, heard. I heard some stuff, right? Yeah.
So, my wife is also a social worker by training, and I'm not constantly, but from time to time, I'll be like, stop therapizing me. I know you're therapizing me. I know, but I suspect that growing up with a social worker mom and a pastor dad, you learn a lot of these skills at a young age, or maybe you're on the receiving end of some of this. But to me, the key is my wife as a social worker is just an amazing listener. She's the best listener. And so many people come to her for advice, whether it's within her expertise or not. And it's such a valuable resource that I would imagine in your practice, it just comes in handy all the time.
Very true.
So tell us about Civility Wins, the family law edition. Is there another edition, by the way? Is there a Civility Wins edition?
Yes, there is. I co-authored a book called Civility Wins, Find Your Peace While Taming the Beast. It's on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
That was maybe in 2019 with a colleague and friend of mine. It started off as a venting session, honestly. We feel go to law school, I want to change the world, and the world's going to be a better place. And then you start practicing law, and, life happens. There's a lot of things that are outside our control. And so it's basically a book that can go across. It doesn't have to be for attorneys, but from our experience as attorneys, we came from that ballpark. But we talk about professionalism, ethics, bullying, confidence, and red flags. And so I wanted to do something that was geared more so towards family law, and also spreading the word about what is collaborative, because a lot of people don't know about it, even though the statute was enacted in 2017 in Florida, and it's been around since 1990. I wanted to have a platform to be able to educate the public if they're contemplating a divorce or any type of family disengagement, that there's an alternative way of having you resolving it. And so that's what Civility Wins came in with. Collaborative is all about being civil, even though you don't like it. And I think having that ability to be civil in such a, traumatic time is strength. And so that's where it came from. Civility Wins, the family law edition, focusing on what is collaborative and spreading the word about it.
I think there needs to be more civility, not just in the family arena, but in all practice, right? We've talked about this over and over again.
In all areas of society.
Well, all areas of society, for sure. Yes,
because
without question.
I think civility is on the decline in general.
Agreed. Just people feel more empowered to just
run red lights, or not let you in, and in traffic, or merging, or whatever it is.
Okay, we're talking
cutting
about
people off when you're walking.
But yes, no, it's true. I mean, people just feel there's less civility. It's more, me, and how's this going to affect me, instead of, focusing outward and trying to help people, which actually will help you.
Yeah.
And I love,
for your health
I love, yes,
to be civil.
It is
Right.
good for your health to be civil. But I appreciate the title because that is, it says it all. It just says so much. It's great. So what, other than being a homebody and want to be home on the weekends, what does Kristen like to do? I know you have 3 young children, so it's very hard. We get it. We've been there. What do you like to do for fun when you like to let off some steam and do something for just you?
I love music. I sing. I think that's very therapeutic. So I'm very active in my church, sing praise and worship with the team.
Mm-hmm.
I love giving back to the community. I did establish, thanks to my mom,
tell us about
down Kids Demonstrating Worth, Inc. And that stemmed actually from an experience. To make a long story short, I have nieces and nephews who are around the same age. And a long time ago, my niece at the time ran away from home, but we didn't know about it. Thought, she's missing for 3 months. To, again, make a long story short, found her, stemmed from not feeling loved, not feeling accepted. A lot of things to unpack there, but I gravitated towards foster youth. And the reason being, Antoine Fisher, do you remember that movie in the book about a foster child? Had a very rough upbringing, being going from one foster home to another, being abused. But then he found a mentor that really changed the trajectory of his life, and the sky is the limit. So it's basically saying that regardless of where you come from, and the niche there would be the foster youth, that your circumstances and where you come from does not define where you're going to go. And I love being able to give back and mentor youth, whether they're in foster care or not, because I think kids are resilient. And if given the right resources and the right tools, the sky is the limit for them.
Yeah. So Kids Demonstrating Worth, is it a mentorship program or what does it do?
Yeah. So it mentors foster youth ages 5 to 18 in every aspect. Tutoring services, provide mental health resources for them. It's a holistic approach to ensuring that they are set up for success.
Nice. And who are the mentors, guides, therapists?
So I work alongside a lot of other nonprofits. SOS, Children's Village was a huge support system. We would go there. I had a board. I'd be being one of them, providing services there. They had their resources and their contacts, Children's Home Society, finding other partnerships that are already established in the community and being able to say, hey, how can we assist and be additional support to the foster youth?
Wow, I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, great. I mean, giving back to your community and
that's what it's all about.
Being civil and empathetic.
Yeah, I think that
just kind of sums it all up.
You just landed the plane right there, man.
Boom. That's it. We landed the plane. We landed. We're good.
It's thank you.
No airbags.
You have arrived in Miami. Please
do nothing.
Keep your seatbelt on until we've arrived at a complete.
The gate is not ready for you yet. We're going to sit on the tarmac until the gate is. Sorry,
Kristen. Sorry. You can tell we're tired. We're delirious.
We had a little
This
giddy.
has been really great. Thank you so much for sharing, your story with us. And
it was very nice to meet you, Kristen. Thank you, and thank you for all you do. We appreciate it.
Check out Civility Wins, the Family Law Edition podcast, and we will see you next time. And while you're there, check out our podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @FastAmron.